What's up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective reading. This one's gonna be about a career reading, nice and straightforward. If you're looking for a one-on-one reading, you can do so by directly messaging me. It's $35 for your first reading for up to 20 minutes. You can ask as many questions as you want within that time frame, or I can just pull and see what comes out. If it doesn't resonate, then I'll simply refund you. Now that being said, I'm gonna pull a couple more tea leaves and we'll get right into the reading. I'll pull 3. I feel like if you take too many, they can kind of hijack the reading almost. I guess a message is a message. So we have club, which is someone will try to make you do something against your will. We have ink pot with problems to be solved. And then parrot with someone will gossip about all of your secrets. What's funny here is, like, before this reading, before I recorded, I tried doing a take and then I put the parrot card back in because the take was just messed up. But sometimes that's just how it is. Like, if a card is meant to come out, then it's going to come out. So in some way, shape, and form, I feel like this is an important warning for somebody to be mindful of the company you keep, especially within work. And I think as well, it could be something along the lines of maybe your job is trying to make you do something shady, or there are like underhanded practices that they have. The last job that I was at wanted me to pretty much lie and manipulate people and put things on people's account who were like maybe either immigrants or old or literally wouldn't have the capacity to be aware of the fact that I'm basically charging them more for services they're probably not even going to use. So maybe you're in a sales job, and when it comes to sales jobs, I think that the crowd that it attracts, especially those who might tend to excel within that, don't necessarily tend to always be very wholesome or actually kind individuals. They tend to kind of have the aspect or the concept of kind of getting their goals, getting their numbers, and not really caring much about anything else. So it's really important to be mindful of the environment that you're working in, and if you feel like it's a mismatch, pay attention to that shit. Pay attention to it and act on it as soon as possible. So we have the King of Wands. So the King of Wands makes me feel like you're definitely somebody who has the capacity to do whatever job you do well. Like, you know where your strengths are. You know where your weaknesses are. And I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to navigating the physical realm, is understanding where you are able to kind of thrive, so to speak. So if you don't feel like this job is for you, take that intuition and use it and move somewhere else where you are able to be in better terms, especially if you feel like this is people coming against you or there's shady stuff happening. And then I have the 3 of Swords. So yeah, this makes me feel like maybe this is even something where it feels like really painful or difficult. It could be something where it's actually something that makes you sad. Maybe you had, like, you know, closer connections to the people. Maybe it was one of those things like where you were close to your coworkers, and maybe for one reason or another they kind of switched it up on you. Sometimes, especially when it comes to like sales type environments or just certain jobs in general, and jobs in general, because when we are in a mode of survival and when we're not in the best state, we don't tend to be able to act and thrive as our best selves. So what's very likely to have happened is maybe you were close to these people, or maybe you're close to somebody at work, and now as a result of the proximity that you had to these people, they're now sharing your information, or maybe they're backstabbing you, or maybe they're doing something along those lines. So sometimes it's worth, you know, fighting it out and staying where you are, but sometimes it's worth just leaving and finding something better. Like, I used to be the kind of person to believe that it's worth it to kind of, I guess, fight for things in a way, but I wouldn't even necessarily say fight for things. Stand my ground to a certain degree, and I still do believe that, but I definitely, at least now where I am, I have the energy of going where the fuck I'm celebrated and going like where my talents are going to be appreciated versus staying where I'm not appreciated. And with the 7 of Cups, you have a lot of different options, so you're not stuck to one path. You're not stuck to one route. You have the capacity to pick and choose these different options that are in these cups, so don't feel like you're bound and restricted to being stuck in one job. Like, you are the person who's making these people money. It's not the other way around. Like, technically speaking, yeah, but these jobs quite literally could not function without our backbone. So trust that you have the skills necessary to simply take that somewhere else. Let's pull a couple more. Then we have the 10 of Wands, especially if this is a job that's like stressing you out. At some point, like, if it's stressing you out, it's painful, and it's like you gotta, sometimes that's how clarity comes. The stress can be the clarity. The frustration can be the clarity. The lack of being able to experience what you need to in a peaceful way and being overburdened by your simple job, which I don't think jobs need to be adding on to no fucking stress. I think, from what I'm believing, if I have a job, the point of the job is to make me money. It's supposed to relieve stress. It's supposed to bring peace into my experience. So if this is causing like the 10 of Wands energy, then there's nothing wrong with that being what the clarity is and you needing to just move. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you are bad or good at the job. It could just be that you're not a fit because you're not shady like some people are. And then we have the 10 of Swords. So yeah, sometimes it's just one of those things like where these endings aren't always fun. They're not always right or just. But sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I'm learning more and more that many times when stuff like this happens, it's for a good reason. Like, I really, really, really wanted to be able to have time to work on all of my projects and my businesses and stuff like that. And I can't necessarily say that me transitioning out of my job, even though it didn't happen in a good way, and especially because of the fact that it happened how it did, I can definitely say that it still opened the pathway for me to pursue the things that I truly desire to and to actually go all in on those concepts. So sometimes it's just us getting to where we got to get to the fastest route, and that's just sometimes a little bit unorthodox. I'll pull one more card. Yeah, Five of Cups. So it's like, don't cry and be frustrated and look at all the things that have gone wrong. It's like there's still opportunities right behind you. So you just got to turn around and go to them. You don't have to stay stuck, bound to anybody. And the King of Swords. So you have the intellect, you have the mind, you have the capacity, you have not only the willpower, the vision, but you also have the mind capable and needed to make discerning choices, to make the proper decision as far as transferring from one position to another. So don't feel like as if you're stuck. Don't feel as if you're not going to make the right choice. Don't feel as if you are being maybe drowned in uncertainty. I would like to say that maybe you are somebody who is able to use your discernment to the best of your ability and not necessarily have to worry about the I wouldn't say not worry, but it's better not to worry because you have that discernment that's able to get you to where you got to get to in the most efficient way. So it's not always fun having to navigate these situations. I'll be the first person to tell you that these jobs be shady. They will quite literally promote wrong things and then in that exact same breath, demonize the other. So it's not necessarily your fault. That's sometimes how the structures of these places work. And I think it could just be sometimes a frequency mismatch. But that being said, peace and blessings, and I hope you guys have a great day.